everybody. Welcome into Bruins Now. Michaela Vernava here, and it's the most wonderful time of the year for hockey fans. Of course, I'm talking about playoffs, and the Bruins are hard at work preparing to take on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I think they're a fast, deep team. They like to play quick, and a lot of similar tendencies that we have. Some young players can put the puck in the net, and then some older, reliable guys that play the right way every single night.
Two original six teams, the rivalry that we've had with that organization. They're a good squad, and we're going to need to bring our best to beat them.
They're a tough matchup. They're a good team. They play with a lot of pace, a lot of speed, and they're tight defensively.
It's going to be fun, and I said we work whole season to get to this step one, and now we are here.
Starts all over here now, and it's a good opportunity for us and a good opportunity for them. We're both real good teams. Something's going to have to give. I like clam chowder, so I'm excited that we're going to Boston.
I want to now welcome in our hockey analyst, Mike Cole. And Mike, let's get to the important stuff.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on clam chowder?
I'm not a big seafood guy at all, but I love clam chowder for some reason. Not sure why. I like it in the summer too, which is kind of weird. But those are my hot takes on clam chowder. I'm not surprised that Mike Babcock is talking about the clam chowder because he's kind of a weird dude, and it gets even weirder during the playoffs. But he's also a brilliant hockey mind, a great asset to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Certainly, and
yes.
Things could get weird for the Bruins or just plain bad if they're not able to stop the Maple Leafs on the power play.
Correct.
The Leafs have a really strong power play unit. How do the Bruins have been good on the penalty kill though, but how do you see this playing out in this first round?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the Bruins are the only team in the NHL are top 5 in both power play and penalty kills. So special teams is a strength for the Bruins. But they're going to have the work cut out for them against this Leafs power play. Leafs have a lot of high-end, top talent offensively, especially. Look at a guy like Austin Matthews. He's one of the best young players in the game. But not just him. It's guys like Nazem Kadri. It's guys like James Van Riemsdyk. They have a lot of and they can move the puck from the back end, too. So they've got a lot of good pieces that fit well within a power play, which is why they have one of the best in the league. That's going to be, I think that, I wrote about this earlier in the week on NESN.com. I think this is the biggest thing for the Bruins, is stopping that power play, because you've got so many weapons that you have to worry about. And we saw the Bruins losing 3 or 4 games to the Maple Leafs this year. The Maple Leafs scored, I think, 5 power play goals combined in those games. It all starts with taking away space. They got to be able to do that. They didn't do that against the Leafs later in the year in one of those games, and Kadri burned them in the high slot. You've got to be able to clear pucks. They couldn't do that very well against the Leafs. These are little things, though, I think that they'll be able to kind of take care of and figure out, once the series starts. I think there's a heightened sense of awareness for these types of things, too, going into the playoffs. So I don't see that as a big issue. But if this is one of those things where we're talking about it in a week and saying, what went wrong for the Bruins, it's probably that they didn't do a very good job against that power play.
Well, which players specifically are you going to be keeping an eye on that you think will have the biggest impact on this series, and how do these two teams match up?
This kind of stems from the coaching staffs down. And like I said, Babcock, genius. Guy's a brilliant hockey mind. This is where I think home ice advantage comes in handy for the Bruins as well, where you can kind of mix and match lines. I think the big thing is going to be that the matching up of those two top lines. It's the Bergeron line versus the Matthews line. Matthews, I think, only played 1 game against the Bruins this year, so a little relatively unknown there. But it's one of those things where I think they're going to, if Cassidy has his way, they're going to match up that line against the Matthews line as much as they can. And, Babcock's going to be looking for ways to stop that Bruins line. I think it's interesting to see, too, that, you look at a guy like Brad Marchand, hasn't scored a playoff goal, I think, in 26 games it is. So they've got a lot to prove there. I think Pasternak is a guy who can kind of be an X factor, but it really comes down for me how those coaches deploy those two lines. Who gets the better of that probably is going to have the edge in the series, but they've done a pretty good job, the Leafs have, against that Bruins line, headlined by Bergeron.
Well, when Babcock's not thinking about clam chowder, he is planning how to combat Patrice Bergeron.
Well, to me, Bergeron's as good I just think he's a great player with and without the puck, and their line all has 30 goals, and yet they play without it too. So to me, that's a huge factor in any series. They're good players. They're good.
Well, Mike, a guy we didn't talk about at all yet, Ryan Donato, the phenom, who really helped the Bruins out at the end of this final stretch of the season, but Bruce Cassidy's all but said he will be up on the 9th floor for game 1 of this series at least. a lot of fans kind of up in arms, but why does this move actually make more sense than maybe it seems on face value?
On the Donato front, I'll start with this. I think we see him at some point in this series. I think it could be as soon as Game 2 or Game 3. I don't think this is a benching or anything like that. I think it's something where you look at the matchup, and I think this is what makes most sense, especially if you're going to get guys back who are healthy. If you're going to get, if you're going to have Sean Corrali healthy, if you're going to have Jake DeBrusk healthy, Noel Acciari's healthy. You've got these guys who, in a series like this where killing penalties is going to be very important, Ryan Donato doesn't kill penalties. You've got a series like this where you're going up against fast, speedy forwards. Sure, Donato has speed, but does he, is he able to get in front of guys, use his size, use his two-way ability? Probably not. That's not what he does necessarily. It's one of those things too, though, where if we're looking at it, we're 3 or 4 games into the series, the Bruins are having trouble scoring goals, then they can put him in. And I think it's going to be pretty fluid, I think. And it's one of those things too, where if somebody like a Danton Heinen struggles early on, Ryan Donato is the first guy up, because I think that Heinen responded well to, he was benched down the stretch. Cassie called him out a couple of times. He wasn't happy with the way he was playing. Heinen responded well, but if he reverts back to his old ways or his bad habits, maybe it's one thing where they make a move there. And I think the other thing too is the Bruins went, I think I looked it up, they were like 45-15-4 or something like that without Ryan Donato. That's not a slight on Ryan Donato. That's just to say that this team's a really good hockey team with or without him. Some people might say, are they better with him? I don't know. I like kind of easing him into it and kind of bringing him along slowly. If you don't need him right off the bat, go with what you feel most comfortable about, and then kind of break glass in case of emergency if you need him. So it makes sense to me, but like I said, I think we'll see him at some point.
It's nice that they have the luxury of that option. That's certainly a good thing.
And one real quick point is, Cassidy went out of his way to say, we're not replacing him with Rick Nash, but when Rick Nash is one of the guys getting back into the lineup, that's, again, it kind of speaks to your point.
Problem
yeah,
to
exactly.
have.
It's a lot of depth, and that's what they've done a nice job of building that.
So when it's all said and done, what's your series prediction?
I'm gonna go with Bruins in 6, I guess. I don't know. It's a tough one. I think it's a tough draw for the Bruins. I think all things being equal, you probably almost certainly would rather play New Jersey in the first round. But that's kind of the nature of the beast. This team didn't take care of business down the stretch. And this is the way the playoffs are aligned, so you kind of have to deal with it. It's a tough matchup, but I think it's a team that the Bruins should be able to handle, because I think the Bruins have more depth. I think they're much better defensively. I think that kind of plays itself out over a 7-game series, so I think they get it done in 6 and kind of get out of there and move on to probably Tampa Bay. So, I wouldn't be shocked if they lose, but I'd be pretty surprised.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
The action kicks off for the Bruins at 7 p.m. on Thursday at TD Garden, where they hit the ice again on Saturday night before heading out to Toronto to play on Monday and Thursday of next week. Games 5, 6, and 7, if necessary, are of course TBD. Now, could this series turn into a classic? That too is TBD, but one thing's for sure, the last time these two original 6 teams met in the playoffs was certainly one for the ages. Remember, the Bees had a comfortable lead 3-1 before Toronto won 2 straight to force a Game 7. And it wasn't looking good for the black and gold. The Leafs had a 4-1 lead in the third period. But the Bees managed to rally, scoring 2 goals in the final 2 minutes of regulation. And then they pulled off the win in overtime, giving Toronto fans nightmares for years to come. And that was the 14th time the Bruins have met the Leafs in the playoffs, and historically, Toronto has the edge, having won 8 of those matchups, but the Bruins have won the last 4. Either way, history's history.
It's a while back, so it's a new series. It's it's myself included. It brings some good memories. But that being said, it's behind us, and we're definitely looking forward. And and we got to be ready for a tough team on Monday.
Now let's check in with Casey McDonald, who has your social drive presented by Nissan.
It's that time for your social drive. So let's open things up with Sister Jean. You know her, you love her. Loyola Chicago's 98-year-old men's basketball team chaplain. She threw out the first pitch today at the Cubs home opener. Looks just as cold there as here, highs in the 40s and shy. Her Final Four team also honored pregame and then during the 7th inning stretch at Wrigley. Corey Kluber, he turned 32 today. Happy birthday. The Indians celebrated in the best and worst way. Depends on if you're an Office fan. So balloons that match the colors of the carpet, not blown up all the way, a sign that says, it is your birthday, period, no exclamation mark, but the period because it's more professional. I love this. I think it's great. So how about this? The other day, Philadelphia 76er Ben Simmons, he said he should be Rookie of the Year. Tonight, Donovan Mitchell seemingly taking a shot at Simmons with a rookie hoodie, has the definition across his chest, which many presume obviously is a dig at him, who missed all of last season with a broken left foot, but is still considered a rookie because he didn't play in his first NBA game until this season. Who knows? That's your Social Drive.
The Nissan Rogue has everything I need to take on today. Intelligent all-wheel drive when I need to follow the story or create my own path. Style, smarts, and storage. In the Nissan Rogue, I'm not just along for the ride, I'm driving. Shop the Rogue at your local Nissan store and choose Nissan.com. Innovation that excites.
And watch me, Casey McDonald, with your Nissan Social Drive nightly on NESN Sports Today.
The NHL and the entire hockey world, for that matter, has shown an outpouring of support for the Humboldt Broncos community, and the Bruins are no exception. David Backus joined countless hockey lovers who are leaving their sticks out at night with a candle in tribute to the crash victims. And what better place to pay respects in this city than under the sacred Flying Bobby Orr? The Boston Bruins Foundation is currently fundraising to help those affected by the tragedy in Saskatchewan. They're holding an online raffle for a suite for Game 2. Tickets can be purchased at bruinsraffle.org. And they're also hosting the 50-50 raffle during Game 1. All proceeds will be donated to the Humboldt Broncos community. The Bruins have pledged to donate a minimum of $50,000 through these efforts. Now, for more information or to get involved, visit bostonbruins.com/Humboldt. And while you're surfing, make sure to keep up with all the latest playoff action with us on NESN.com. That's it for this episode of Bruins Now. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next week.